money you were going to bet. Then we'll go out back, I'll kick you in the nuts, and we'll call it a day.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, but double doink. My ding-a-ling, my ding-a-ling. Action-packed today, 9 to noon. A happy Tuesday to you. Brett Blakemore is producing, and I'm Paul Allen. And we begin with HOF. It's the best quarterback in the history of Minnesota Vikings football, and also somebody who once hosted Saturday Night Live. It's Fran, the man on the fan, Fran Tarkenton. Fran, Paul Allen, how you been?
Good. I've been fine, Paul. I'm down here in sunny California. Sunny Florida, and it's about 80 degrees. But I'm sure up in Minneapolis, St. Paul, it's about the same, huh?
No, we're doing okay right now. I mean, we're scratching and surviving. You know, that's what we do.
That's good.
You lived here long enough to know how the seasons change, and there's some charm to it. You know.
Yes. People always tell us, "Why do you stay up here year round?" Well, we like the different seasons. I said you have July 4th, and then you have winter. But it's a wonderful place to live. I enjoyed living there, and I absolutely enjoyed playing there.
And then you got to that lake place in Georgia and said, "I'm never leaving this place. This is unbelievable," right?
Down here in Palm Beach, it's
nice.
I read something yesterday. 69 billionaires live in Palm Beach.
Wow, can you
imagine that?
Can you hit up one of them and ask them for $10,000 to help me with my taxes?
That's the reason they've got billions of dollars. They don't do that for you and me.
Oh, you know what? Speaking of that lake place that you either have or used to go to or whatever, how does your buddy Nick Saban like the TV world?
He stays down here in the winter. And we've had dinner with him a couple of nights this past week. I think he likes his life a lot right now. He's not a big personality guy. And he won 6 or 7 national championships, and he's a great coach. But I'll tell you what, he lives down here in the wintertime, and he really does like it a lot. He likes to play golf. He loves to do the television shows. These are things that he would never think about doing because he's not. He's a football coach. I mean, he's 100% football coach, but now he's 100% enjoying his life.
Do you, during college football season, do you ever watch him on College Game Day?
Watch
Nick Saban.
Yeah, I do watch that. Yeah, I watch him in that, and I watch him, and the thing I watch is they got about 4 other guys on there.
Yeah,
and Nick Saban doesn't get enough time.
Right.
I mean, he knows football like nobody else does, and the other guys, all they want to do is have time on television. Most of them have not played at a high level at all, and they run over Nick and don't let him talk enough.
Well, I'm so glad you said that, HOF, because one of the guys with whom he works, who actually did play at a high level, Pat McAfee, former punter in the NFL, and Pat does a really good job with the Pat McAfee show. But sometimes when I'm watching Nick, his face appears like at times like Pat McAfee bugs him. You know what I mean?
I know. And Pat McAfee would bum most anybody. I mean, he's got a big personality, big stride. He's made a place for himself. You have to give it to him. And the guys,
for sure.
But Nick is just a quiet football guy. I mean, that's what he is. And he's obviously, I think it's hard to say who's the greatest coach ever lived in pro football or college football, but he's in the conversation for the greatest coach ever in college football for sure.
Ain't no doubt about that. HOF. Now, who's your favorite broadcaster with whom you ever worked?
I never thought about it. I've got to think about that. I don't know. I tell you, my most favorite guy that covered football was Sid Hartman.
Right.
And sweet old Sid, he didn't know whether the football was blowing or stuff, but he was just a great guy to cover the team. And he was I would tell him anything and everything, and know that the things he shouldn't take to somebody else, he wouldn't. He was just a unique guy, Sid Hartman.
Yeah. God rest the soul of Sid Hartman. But you know, these broadcasters back in the Monday Night Football days, I mean, Frank Gifford, Howard Cosell, Dandy Don Meredith, and I don't know how well you knew Brent Musburger with CBS, but, you know, I've been friends with Brent for quite some time. I like him a lot.
Yeah.
And any of those guys did you enjoy working with?
Well, I did Monday Night Football for about 4 years with that group you just mentioned, Gifford and Howard Cosell and Dandy Don. Dandy Don was my greatest friend outside of being a Viking teammate. He and I were great friends. We met when we were in college. He was 1 year ahead of me, and he was a character of characters. He really was. And he was great on television, and he was great in acting roles. He was a talent guy. And he wasn't a great football player, but he was a good football player playing with Landry, and Dallas was always good. But he died really young, too. I mean, he really he was a great actor. I mean, he really was a great actor that did some movies, but he was the character of characters.
Well, Fran, think about that. I mean, but, you know, back in the day, you had Merlin Olsen carved a big name for himself, Little House on the Prairie. Rosie Greer was in movies. O.J. Simpson was in movies. You hosted Saturday Night Live. I mean,
Freddie Dreyer was in movies.
That's a great one. Jim Brown was like in some movies too. Chuck Connors.
Yeah, Jimmy Brown. Obviously, I mean, I think Jim Brown is the greatest running back in the history of football. I don't think there's any question. But he stopped at age 29.
Right.
I mean, he was 6'2", 230, 235, run like a deer, strong. I mean, he was it. You talk to any football player of that generation or this generation, Jim Brown was the greatest running back that ever lived.
So, Fran, when you saw Adrian Peterson run, did it remind you of Jim Brown?
No.
Why?
No. And Adrian Peterson was great. Different. They're all a little different. And Jim Brown was just different. I mean, golly, he was 230, could run a 4-4. He could run. He'd outrun everybody. But he was a 4.40. Nobody was like that. And but Adrian Peterson was a great running back. There's no question about it. But to me, I'm prejudiced. Jim Brown is the greatest running back I've ever seen.
Yes, sir. Fran Tarkenton, former Vikings quarterback, Hall of Famer. The National Football League draft, the old draft, is a week from Thursday. How much of the NFL draft will you watch, HOF?
I won't watch. I won't watch much of it, but I'll cover. I mean, after it's all done, I'll look at it and see who did what. But it's a fun thing to watch live or read about it later, and everybody's got their idea of who did what, and you never know until the next season who did it. But the toughest thing that I look at is drafting a quarterback in the first round, which is almost a thing you shouldn't do. The greatest quarterbacks that have ever played, I think, most of them were not drafted in the first round, and it's hard to pick that guy that's going to be a great quarterback. I mean, John Unitas, as great a quarterback as there was drafted by Pittsburgh in the 12th or 14th round, and he never played at Pittsburgh. They cut him, and the New York and the Colts got him on the waiver, paid $100. I mean, that shows you. And there was no greater quarterback in that generation than John Unitas.
Right.
And you could go on to Joe Montana. I don't think Joe Montana was in the first round either.
Right.
And maybe Dan Marino was at the end of the first round.
Mm-hmm.
So it's obviously it's hard to pick that quarterback and to make a first round pick and think he's going to be the quarterback. Very seldom does it happen.
Hey, Fran, Fran,
Go ahead.
what do you think is fair when it comes to putting like a blanket analysis on a quarterback? Because I say it a lot, and I've heard it from people in the game, where you got to give a quarterback, obviously with the same team, preferably the same system, you got to give him 20 to 25 games before you can determine, all right, this guy belongs or this guy's just all right.
I don't think that that's the case. I know that when I played, I was a third-round draft choice. I think there were 5 or 6 guys that were drafted before me. I had better careers than any of them. I played in my first game. I didn't start. I played first game as a new franchise team when we beat the Bears 37-13, and
Ooh.
I completed 17 of 21 passes for 237 yards, threw 4 touchdowns, and ran for another. I mean, I didn't think anything about being a rookie. I thought I could play as a rookie, as a second-year guy. I didn't need 25 games or 10 games. I think the guy that can play, you see it right away. Joe Montana was a third-round draft choice, I think, and he played right away. And Dan Marino was at the end of the first round, and he played right away. I think if you can play quarterback, you can play quarterback. And now, is there exceptions? Well, the guy we had at quarterback a year ago, he was drafted in the first round, maybe in the middle of the first round.
Yeah, like 10th.
And pardon?
He went 10th.
He went 10th of the first round.
Yep.
But by the time he got to us, I think we were his 4th or 5th team, were we not?
You're talking about Carson Wentz.
No. I'm talking about the guy we had that gave us a 14-3 stake and ended up winning the Super Bowl with Seattle last year.
Yeah, Sam Darnold. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, Sam Darnold was picked in the first round, and I bet he's been 27 years old. I think Seattle's his 5th team.
Yeah.
And what does that mean? Well, if you're not in the right, you got to be in the right system. I mean, our head coach at Minnesota is a great offensive coordinator, and he played great for us. I mean, he's 14-3. How good is that?
Right.
But all the other teams, San Francisco, I think the Jets, and he was a 5th or 6th round, or first round pick, and then he's become a great player.
Yeah.
The guy, the Super Bowl last year, you have him who's been to 5 or 6 teams, and the guy for the
Patriots.
He was the youngest quarterback ever in the Super Bowl.
Right.
The thing that the quarterback's got to have, he's got to be in the right system. You got to have a system that makes it easy and simple, and you better have a really stable coaching staff. And number one, beyond that, you need a great defense. When I played in Minnesota, we had the greatest defense in football, and the Cowboys had great defenses, and the LA Rams had great defenses, and they made Roger Staubach and I look a lot better.
Fran, the man on the fan, Fran Tarkenton, 9 to noon, and Fran touched on it, but he was a 3rd-round pick back in 1961. Now, Norm Snead went 11 to Washington. All right, now Norm Snead, fine quarterback, not a Hall of Famer. Did that stun you when Norm Snead was drafted ahead of you?
I really liked Norman Snead. He and I played in the blue-gray game my senior year, and I really liked him. He was a great guy, and he was a first-round pick, and I remember that the Redskins were my childhood team. I liked them there, and they didn't do very well in the 40s and 50s, but they called me and they go draft me in the first round. They didn't. They drafted Norman, and I went in the 3rd round. And again, there were 6 quarterbacks I think drafted before I was drafted that year, and so none of them in the Hall of Fame, and none of them really had great years.
Well, one of them, Fran, was Billy Kilmer, who went high in the first round of the 49ers, and he ended up being Redskins immortality. Now, when I lived in Washington, D.C., that's where I'm from, I had a Billy Kilmer jersey. I mean, that's completely absurd that a good but non-athletic player like Billy would go ahead of you. How in the heck did that happen?
Well, Billy Kilmer was drafted by the 49ers, and they had a coach there that year that was brought a new kind of offense to football. And Kilmer was kind of a tailback maybe in college. I think that's what he was.
Right.
And so the 49ers with this coach back in 61, 62 was kind of looking for an athletic quarterback to do all those things. And Billy Kilmer was he was a kind of a better halfback. He was better running back, and he wasn't a great quarterback, but what he was a great character. And when he finally ended up in New Orleans, and they cut him, and he went to the Washington Redskins, and he played behind Sonny Jurgensen. He never did, really play great. He'll never go to the Hall of Fame, but he was a great character, and he played well.
Hey, Fran, up here now. How well do you know Rob Brzezinski? He's our acting general manager.
Yeah, I don't know him at all.
Yeah, so Kwesi's out. Rob's part of this collaboration, and during that time, the Minnesota Vikings signed Kyler Murray. Now, Kyler is talented, he's motivated, and he was cheap. I know you've watched Kyler play. What do you think about that whole thing?
I think he's played 5 or 6 years.
Yeah, he was the first overall pick in 2019.
5 or 6 years. I have a hard time thinking that he's going to be a good quarterback. If he couldn't show that as a first round pick, and you play 5 or 6 years as a starting quarterback, I don't care how good or bad your team is. If you can't show that you can play, that's unusual. Now, the oxymoron of that is the guy that we had that went and won the Super Bowl last year.
Darnold.
He was a first round pick. He was a first round pick from the Jets, and then he played on 4 other teams, including the 49ers. And then he played for us. He was 14-3. Then he goes to Seattle and gets on the right kind of team, the unbelievable defensive team.
There you go.
And they win a Super Bowl.
Well, yeah, I mean, look at that. I mean, think about this.
Who knew?
Kyler Murray, first overall pick in 2019, he didn't play under center for Coach Cliff Kingsbury for 2 straight years. He didn't play under center one time for 2 straight years. So, you know how good O'Connell and this staff can be if they have the right component at quarterback. And clearly Kyler is talented. So maybe, Darnold was the 3rd overall pick in the draft and he had his problems. Then he got here and all those problems got fixed. Maybe that's what's next for Kyler.
Well, here's the deal. Our guy didn't play well. Sam Dunn and the teams he played on before he got to us. He didn't play well in New York. He didn't play well he was a backup quarterback in San Francisco. Mm-hmm. So he didn't have a chance to really play. The difference with the guy we're getting from that you just mentioned, Kyler Murray, I mean, he's played for 5 or 6 years, played most every game. And they were willing to let him go. I think like the guy that the quarterback that was down in Miami, out of Alabama, number 1 was a first round draft choice. He played for 4 or 5 years, and he didn't improve and he didn't get better. So I'm a little bit, to have a player that plays quarterback for 4 or 5 years and starts for 4 or 5 years, and he doesn't play great, I think it's a hard thing to think that he's going to play great somewhere else.
Last one for Fran, the man on the fan. HOF. So what do you think the future looks like for J.J. McCarthy? And if you had J.J.'s ear, he's 23 years old, and he started 10 games last year. If you had his ear, what would you tell him?
I think J.J. McCarthy, I don't know the kid at all. I've watched him. He played at a school that was a more defensive running school. He's done nothing to make me think he's going to be a quarterback. He's just done nothing. He's been out there, and the other thing that bothers me about him the greatest asset of a quarterback, you got to stay healthy. You got to play every week, no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
And the great ones play every week. He gets hurt when he walks on the field. He's not been able to be healthy. I would hope he would be able to be a quarterback for us in the future, but I don't think he will be. I think we got a real problem with that position either way. I mean, it's a hope, but here's the best thing we got going for it. The coach knows how to put a system together that makes it easier for the quarterback. He's a good quarterback coach.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, you got to be healthy. And the guy we have there from Michigan, he ain't been healthy.
Very fair commentary, HOF. Very fair commentary. Hey, may God bless you and your family. Enjoy Palm Beach, and we'll stay in touch, okay?
Thank you, buddy. Thank you.
See you, man. Fran, the man on the fan. Other than that, Miss Lincoln, how was the play? Holy.
Oh, my God.
I mean, we get the Green Bay Packer loving Brett Blakemore to be the fill-in producer today. And we start with Minnesota Vikings HOF Fran Tarkenton. And then it's like, Kyler can't play. Well, JJ can't. I mean, until Kyler proves that he was worthy of that first overall pick in the 2019 draft. And I stick by what I said. I mean, Kyler Murray is talented. And I'm going to throw this out there where I don't think a lot of people can dispute it. Is Kyler Murray talented? Yes. Is he gifted? Yes. Should he be motivated here, Justin Jefferson by his side? Yes. Was he cheap? $1 million and change? Yes. Okay. That all adds up. HOF was like, L. I mean, how much did you love that segment, Double B?
That interview belonged on the Tough Love Covenant. And I mean, that was Fran wet blanket Tarkenton over here.
Holy
I mean, that was, he has his opinion, that's for sure.
Yeah, Fran's HOF.
That's true.
He's welcome into this love covenant. Anytime Fran Tarkenton can make it into this love covenant. All right, it's 9:22, and that was the Steve's Appliances Marathon segment. If you need appliances, here's what we would like you to do if you are so inclined. Go to stevesappliances.com and then click on Shop Deals. You can get $600 off a fingerprint-resistant dishwasher right now. Maybe a GE stainless steel front control built-in dishwasher. Save about $400 on that bad boy. Save about $300 on that bad boy. And we have ovens, we have ranges, we have refrigerators. Bottom line, we are the best. Steve's Appliances is the very best when it comes to working with everybody, but specifically devotees of the 9 to Noon production. So go say hello to Brian. Go say hello to Sarah. Go say hello to Jordan, and mention to them 9 to Noon sent you there via the marathon segments. Thank you, Steve's Appliances, stevesappliances.com, rocking the roost for 9 to Noon. Courtesy of the TimberTech What's on Deck set list. We got some football around the corner. After that, Dane Moore of the Dane Moore NBA podcast. He'll join about 15, 20 minutes from now to help us preview the Timberwolves and Denver Nuggets series. Minnesota Twins general manager Jeremy Zoll joins the show at 10:45. And why wouldn't he? All the Minnesota Twins do through the first 17 is gain a record that's tied for the best in the American League. They told us Garrett Crochet was one of the best pitchers in Major League Baseball. He gave up 4 home runs and only faced 18 batters. The GM's team is hot. Minnesota Twins general manager Jeremy Zoll about 10:45, and the captain Wes Walls joins at 11 o'clock. Talkbacks late in the show. It's a Double B production, and I'm Paul Allen. It's 9:25. Good morning. This is 9 to Noon at FM 100.3 KFAN.
Fan. The Fan welcomes some great shows to Mystic Lake Amphitheater. Bob Dylan will be there July 6th, Motley Crue August 21st, and Santana and the Doobie Brothers August 27th. Get complete details on all of our upcoming shows on the concert page, KFAN.com, keyword calendar.
9 to Noon recognizes on the keyword calendar A week from Thursday, we have the first round of the National Football League Draft.
Hardcore football.
Rounds 2 and 3 on Friday.
Hardcore football.
And 4 through 7 on Saturday.
Stop!
Okay. Now, as the social media machine, my only social media outlet would be Twitter, or as the kids call it, X. And daily, I post what we in the business call a set list, where I will apprise those who are interested what's coming up 9 to noon today. And Timber Tech provides that set list, and for that, we thank you. There, I called it no hit wonders. The word hit meaning no first-round picks. So there are teams that are now reaping what they sow. And the teams with no first-round picks in the draft, NFL draft a week from Thursday, include the Atlanta Falcons, the Indianapolis Colts, the Jacksonville Jaguars, and the Green Bay Packers.
Oh my gosh.
All sans first-round picks for now. Dontavian Wicks, though. The and here's how they got there, because this is reaping what they sow. The Jacksonville Jaguars, man, they made a big move. They traded the 5th overall pick. This is last year. Jacksonville and Duval guy. They trade the 5th overall pick, a 2nd round pick, a 4th round pick, and their 2026 1st round pick, which is the 24th. And that goes to the Cleveland Browns. The Jaguars made the trade to move up and select Travis Hunter with the 2nd overall pick. Now, Travis Hunter played for the Colorado Buffalo and was unbelievable on offense and defense. The Atlanta Falcons don't have a first-round pick because they had an aggressive decision that they later made in that draft. They sent their 2025 second-round pick, 2025 7th, and this year's first-rounder, 13 overall, to the LA Rams. Damn, the Rams got 13.
L.
And they got a bunch of young studs on the team already.
L.
McVay, though. Atlanta used the 26 overall pick in a deal that selected Tennessee edge rusher James Pierce Jr. Now, James is facing some pretty significant off-field dilemmas at this moment. But when they were playing games last year, he was changing them. He had 10.5 sacks, and James Pierce Jr. looks like, if he can get things straight, that he could be quite good. But in doing so, it's the Rams that have the 13, which is supposed to go to Atlanta. But now they're reaping what they sowed. Double B's Green Bay Packers. They traded their first-round picks in 2026 and 2027 to the Dallas Cowboys to get Micah Parsons. Green Bay purportedly wanted a top defensive playmaker and paid a high price to get him. The Indianapolis Colts, they also got splashy. This was right around the trade deadline, and they sent their first-round picks this year and next year to the New York Jets for all-pro cornerback Sauce Gardner. So far, the results, they not exactly what Indianapolis was hoping to reap from what it sowed, but nevertheless, we got Danny Dimes going down and stuff like that. So let's keep the context, okay? My question here is, if you don't have a first-round pick, does that mean you still do draft parties?
I always love that one.
Like, do crafty marketing directors throw day 2 draft parties and maybe have the best second and or third round picks in the history of their franchises make appearances for the bid? I mean, for your squad, no first round picks this year or next year. You know, at the museum right next to Lambeau Field, I mean, that thing's the bomb. So, like, are there Green Bay draft parties? Are there Green Bay Packers draft parties when they don't have first-round picks? You got any intel on that?
I don't have intel. I'd say I wouldn't go if there was one, because there's
nice fan.
Well, there's nothing that. We're going to find out who the Titans are picking. Oh boy, can't wait for that.
No, you have draft parties on on Friday when you have second and third round picks.
I suppose you could.
Well, consider this. Now, would this get you to the draft party? Like Green Bay without first round picks this year and next year. You can have some of the great second and third round picks ever to be selected by the Green Bay Packers make appearances. You would have Leroy Butler, Greg Jennings, Sterling Sharp, Antonio Freeman, and James Jones. I mean, that sounds good enough to eat. And you may and a crafty marketing director then makes a bid out of it because we don't have any first round picks, but we got Micah. And by the way, if we had Micah for the whole thing last year, probably would have won the Super Bowl.
I always love that one.
So therefore, we got to Greg Jennings, Sterling Sharp, Leroy Butler, James Jones might stop by, Antonio Freeman. I mean, autographed pictures and everything, and then we start to pick. Also, maybe they have the great Wayne Larrivee, and there is your dagger. With the draft party for Green Bay, which would be on a Friday, so now you're heading into the weekend, you can get a little goofy. You got the best second and third round picks maybe in the history of Green Bay Packer drafts, like Butler, Jennings, Sharp, Jones, and Freeman stop by, and then you're going to be picking. You have Wayne Larrivee voice life celebrations for some of the best dearly departed second and third round picks in the history of Green Bay Packers football. The likes of LSU second-round fullback Jim Taylor and HOF Ray Nitschke, a 1958 third-rounder. Ray was the heart of the Vince Lombardi-era defenses. The late HOF Forrest Gregg, a game-changing offensive lineman back in the day, who's a Hall of Famer and died in 2019. Bring in their families, provide them terrific accommodations. Wait, it's Green Bay. Bring in their families and, put them up at the Motel 6.
I always love that one.
Wine and dine them at Kroll's West and celebrate the memories of what those guys and others gave to football Americana. The only negative there would be, what if Next Level Goody trades all the second and third round picks and loads up for Saturday? You got to do the whole thing over again on Saturday.
I always love that
So
one.
now the crafty marketing director's getting a bonus. Because you got us a draft party 2 consecutive days. I mean, I'm spitballing for teams who don't have first-round picks, but I think that'd be a good idea for the Go Pack Go. NBA, Dane Moore, next.
Taking on the double. Down to McDaniels. To Nas Reed left side. Back to Jaden. 6 to shoot. Ant's got it up top against Gordon. Frees himself. Rises up. 3 ball the way. Off the rim. No. Slam. Follow. Nas Reed, the 6th man of the year, comes soaring in from the wing. And he puts the Wolves up 89-82. Nas with a monster fourth quarter. He's got 11 for the game. Conley picks the pocket of Jamal Murray. Conley feeds it to Nas. Down the lane. Extra pass to the corner. Ant sets himself. Fires the 3. He hits it! It's 92-82. The Wolves lead by 10 with 3:05 left to play. An unbelievable turnaround here in the second half. From down 20 to up 10 in a Game 7 with everything on the line.
And the T-Wolves would go on to win that Game 7, putting an L on that version of the Big D. That was in the postseason, and Wolves and Nuggets tip off Saturday right around 2:30. A man who will be at Ball Arena because he takes his craft very seriously is one of our favorites, Dane Moore, at Dane Moore NBA via X. He has the Dane Moore NBA podcast, and lo and behold, looky here. This Thursday, 6 o'clock, Falling Knife Brewing Company. It's a live edition of the Dane Moore Show. And not to put the proverbial cart before the metaphorical horse, but you never know. A-Rod, Mark Laurie just might stop by to talk about the state of the franchise. It's happened before, so don't at me. Good morning, Dane.
What's up, PA? Appreciate you pumping that. It's that time of year, right, man? Like, there's so many years where, right, the Wolves season ended at Game 82, and then we had about 6 months where we didn't think about this team, right? It's cool. It's cool to have spring basketball in Minnesota. we're on a good run.
Absolutely love it. This team is compelling in a different way than the previous years. Finchie's found a way to get to the postseason 5 consecutive years. That's super cool. But once again, if you're interested and you want to get a cool preview on the Wolves and Nuggets and meet Dane, Thursday, 6 o'clock, Falling Knife Brewing Company. Britt Robson, who's been on the show before, he'll be joining him there. And it's a happy hour. Hopefully happy news coming from the Timberwolves advancing in the postseason. And let's begin here with Dane. When you covered the team in Denver, all right, and I saw Dane with his camera by the Wolves locker room a month and a half ago at Ball Arena, and that's the last time these teams played, and the Wolves kind of handled them. Do you get outside of Denver and absorb the beauty that is Colorado, or is it all work all the time?
It's actually the one city where, yes, I do that. From traveling with the Vikings, like normally wherever you go, you kind of like stay at a hotel, typically right by the stadium, and you're just in that sort of couple block radius, right, of the stadium there. But Denver, I have some family and friends and stuff like that, and actually this week it's going to be fun. I mean, we're going to be there for 5 or 6 days or whatever, so it's one of my favorite cities to travel to. Everybody complains about the airport, but I love Denver. I'm excited to go to Boulder, whatever. Got family there.
Yeah, it's spectacular. My daughter graduated from Boulder 11 months ago, so I would get there 3, 4, 5 times a year. And you head out to up to Lookout Point, or maybe Estes or Rocky Mountain National Park. Man, it's just so beautiful. But to the series, Ryan Blackburn with Mile High Sports and Locked On Nuggets. All right, I found this at Dane Moore NBA. Watch some of it. He recently joined Dane's podcast, which is very good. For you, what was memorable with the byplay regarding these questions? There are a bunch, but I'm only going to unfurl 2. First, how will Minnesota match up with Denver and vice versa? What resonates with you?
Well, what I think is so interesting about this series is the matchups. And you look at 2 years ago, that's what was interesting in that series. They matched up so well, like literally who guards who. Remember in that series, Karl Anthony Towns actually guarded Nikola Jokic, and it wasn't Rudy Gobert. Right. As much as you saw Shaq, on TNT yapping about Rudy guarding Jokic and not being able to do it, like, watch the tape. Rudy didn't really guard Jokic in that series. The plan was to have Karl Anthony Towns on Nikola Jokic and have Rudy Gobert play off of Aaron Gordon, ignore him on the perimeter, and kind of help in the lane there. And it was a brilliant strategy. It was the number one tactical reason that Finch and the staff deployed that helped them win that series.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
The difference now is no Cat. So Julius is obviously big and physical and strong, and we've seen him guard Jokic too. But Cat is a center body. He'd had years of Jokic playing against Jokic and guarding him in that sort of way. And Julius just isn't as big, isn't as long as Cat. Doesn't have that experience against Jokic. So that's a difference. Another difference is Aaron Gordon shoots threes now.
Yep.
He's like one of the best, become a great shooter in the league. So you can't even if Cat was still on the team, you wouldn't be able to do that same strategy because Rudy wouldn't be able to ignore their power forward, Aaron Gordon, who's sitting in the corner. So we don't know what the matchups are, PA. Like, that is going to be something that Finch and his staff are going to need to kind of reconfigure with a different roster. And obviously when Nikola Jokic is at the top of the scouting report, that's easier said than done, right? As a task.
Right. And interestingly, a month and a half ago, when I saw you in the bowels of Ball, that was a game Aaron Gordon didn't play. So that, there's that factor in that game. Jaden McDaniels was lights out, and just the way you were laying this whole thing out, I was just thinking off the picks that they're going to set. It feels like McDaniels probably doing a lot of the work against Joker, or am I misguided?
If we look at the regular season, what the Wolves' adjustment has been is it's Rudy now. It's Rudy on Jokic, and they just kind of this is what I think they're going to do is they're going to say, Rudy, guard him 1-on-1. We know he's going to give you 30 plus a game, but the way he's going to kill us is if we bring doubles and he starts picking us apart with passing. So I would assume the strategy, and it has largely been during the regular season of this is Rudy's job. And it's his job not to stop him. That's not possible, but to limit him and to not get broken so badly that the Wolves need to start bringing doubles, because we know with Jokic, right? Once you start bringing that second guy, he's going to find the open cutter, the open shooter there. So it's a lot of, this is a big Rudy series, man. Big Rudy series.
Okay, so I'm trying to keep Joker as far from the basket as I can. And, it's low-hanging fruit, specifically for those in the analytical world, and I know that's you, and you pore over those numbers and you utilize them in what you put at Dane Moore MBA with the podcasting included. So Finchy was on 9 to noon yesterday, and I presented the question to him, like, can you get Jokic to shoot just a bevy of threes, because that means he's not passing and then he's not drawing fouls. And then Finch put me on this because I didn't know it. He's like, well, analytically speaking, the numbers show that when he shoots X amount of threes, which would be a lot, they lose more than they win. All right, so that's low hanging fruit there. It's easier said than done. But if they can get Jokic to shoot more threes than he wants to, I don't think the Nuggets will win the series. How do you get that done?
Yeah, well, I think the operative term there is then he wants to. Jokic does not like shooting threes.
Right.
Like that. I mean, he can do it. He's a good 3-point shooter, but you look in his career, and that's been something he's kind of had added out of necessity. You see him when he's in a shooting slump, like he'll go games and he barely shoots any, right? Even if he's open. It's not it's not that he's uncomfortable with it. It isn't his ideal way to play, I don't think, to take 8 threes in a game. So yeah, I think the way you play that is, if it is a Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic pick and roll, right? You have Rudy in drop coverage there, right? Going back to the rim. And that maybe takes away Jamal being able to attack the basket. But what does that coverage leave open? If Rudy's dropping back to the basket, that leaves open Jokic on the pop. For the three there, and then you kind of see where that jumper's at for the series, see how much he's wanting to do it, but it is just basically drop coverage, which Rudy Gobert is the best drop coverage center probably in NBA history. So to that end, if the theory is correct, right, that you do want Jokic to be shooting threes, then that kind of in theory does play well into how the Wolves are comfortable, kind of structuring their defense.
I like that. At Dane Moore MBA via X. All right. So with Julius and Ant up and running, and they're going to play tons of minutes. Do you think Jaden will get a fair amount of touches to keep his offense engaged? Like when it gets sticky, as Finch says, I think he's generally, Jaden McDaniels is generally the guy who's paying the price when the ball gets sticky. What do you think?
Yeah, for sure. But I think Jaden is going to have better matchups in this series to attack than Ant and Julius are.
Yep.
Denver is not a good defensive team this season, man. And they don't have a lot of strictly defensive personnel. They got in the starting lineup, they got 2 good defenders, or above average defenders. Christian Brown, he'll guard Ant. And then Aaron Gordon will guard Julius Randle there.
Yeah.
So we're talking about a guard or maybe Cam Johnson guarding Jaden McDaniels, and it does kind of remind me of I remember earlier in Jaden's career, teams would just hide their point guard on Jaden because they would deprioritize him. They'd say he's the 5th option. I remember the Hawks would always do that with Trae Young. Trae Young, 5'11", would guard 6'11" Jaden McDaniels. And over the course of his career, Jaden has got better at punishing that. And he's the best he's ever been. Obviously, he's gotten older and improved. But if I'm Denver, I'm not going into that series thinking, hey, let's make Jaden McDaniels beat us. Jaden shot 42% from 3 this season and has added a lot to his game in 2-point range. But to your point, when the ball does get sticky and when Ant or Julius aren't keeping it moving, Jaden falls into the background. But I don't think this is a series where you can afford to have Jaden McDaniels fall in the background. And I think that's incumbent upon Ant and Julius to involve him. And if they're not, it's incumbent upon Finch to call his number to be involved in the actions, I think.
Amen. Beautifully explained. Hey, Dane, did you get to know Nuggets coach David Adelman when he was here? I mean, that's one smart basketball mind right there.
Adelman's before my time covering the Wolves. I've met him once or twice in passing. I don't know him personally, but impressive job that he's done there.
I know.
Right? Like, that is one of the biggest changes of this series from 2 years ago in 2024 to now.
Yeah.
Is the Nuggets have a different coach. And yeah, like at the time, David Adelman was revered. You know, he kind of seemed like he was going to be the interim head coach. Maybe he wasn't one of the 30 best coaches in the league, but it certainly seems like he is now, and what he's done with this team over the past couple seasons. So obviously, you probably know him better than I do. Sharp dude. And yeah, that's his thing too, man. He's a game planner. He'll be ready to roll.
Very, very smart man. All right, time for a couple more for Dane Moore at Dane Moore NBA podcast. Learn more at Dane Moore NBA. Now, Denver at times plods. I mean, you know the analytics 1,000 times more than me. I would guess they're not one of the lickety split up and down the court teams. So if that's the case, or even just, you know, from watching their games, do you think Bones with Ayo and Anthony can run those guys like until their tongues are hanging down to their knees?
Yes, but how do you make them run is the thing. Is you got to get stops, you got to get turnovers. Because if you're taking the ball out of the basket, you can't run, you know, and Denver has the best offense in the NBA, right? If they're going to be scoring on 60% of their possessions, you don't have much opportunity to run. And you're absolutely right. And you're right in highlighting Ayo and Bones, is those are the guys that can make you run. But you got to get the turnover. This needs to be like aggressive defense. Take risks. Because you know what? If you get back cut or your guy blows by you and it's a layup, that's unfortunate. But you know what was going to probably happen? If you played defense straight up, they were probably going to score anyways because they got Jokic and the Nuggets. I think this is like, remember the Titans, man? Blitz all night, you know? Like, that's the game plan against this team. That's what they did 2 seasons ago. They overwhelmed Denver at times, and because of that, got to play in transition, got easier buckets, involving your bench with Bones and Ayo and Nas. Like, that's a new gear to this team, but you unlock that with defense. You can't just opt into playing fast on offense without defense.
Is Denver deeper than a couple of years ago?
Hell yeah. Totally different. I mean, I was watching back the first couple of games of that series, and 2 of the main guys who came off the bench for Denver were Reggie Jackson and Justin Holiday.
Oh, wow.
After that series that the Wolves won, those guys never played in the NBA again.
Wow.
I mean, that was a bad bench that Denver had there. We always talk about the non-Jokic minutes and the importance of when he's resting, needing to dominate those. Those were easier to dominate 2 seasons ago. They had worse personnel, and the guy that I got really highlighted off the bench for them this year is Tim Hardaway Jr. He hurt this team in regular season. He's, I think, had a case to be a 6th man of the year for that team. You got to take care of that. Big Valanciunas, you know, he hasn't been what I think they hoped he would be this season, but that's a vet, you know, that's a pro. That's not, you know, shout out Zeke Naji from Hopkins, but like Valanciunas compared to Naji is a pretty big difference there for them. So they got a lot more on their bench, but it's not like the Wolves got a bad bench either, man. This is a deep Wolves team too. It's the benches are going to factor in this for sure. All
right. Lastly, what are you feeling? You know, T-Wolves in 7 like a couple of years ago. What are you feeling about this whole thing?
Yeah, I saw you and John interact on Twitter, and the line, the series price has Denver as heavy favorites, more than I was expecting. So I would say, like, from a betting perspective, I think the value would be on the Wolves. But I don't think this is, if I'm being objective, I don't think this is a series where I can come into it right now and say I think the Wolves are the favorites or that it's even. The Wolves have to do things in this series that they have not consistently done during the regular season. They need to find new things like they did 2 seasons ago to beat this team, man. Like, this is Jokic. This is Gordon. This is Murray. We know they can beat them. I'm not taking that away, but you gotta play your A game, and you need to do it consistently. And that's my concern about this Wolves team this season is the consistency factor. If they struggle to be consistent for over 7 games at any point over the regular season, why should I be confident in the playoffs that they're going to be consistent for 7 games there? Now, we do know what this team, they do kind of flip a switch, right? So maybe that's coming, and I do believe to some extent that's coming. I'm just a little worried about the consistency of it. So I think it's fair to say that Denver is the favorites in this series, but I do think that's being a little bit overrated, or they're kind of viewing this as a walk for Denver. And I think if Denver comes into the series with the mentality that this is a walk, I think they're gonna get surprised by this Wolves team. So we'll see. We'll know more after one game.
That was great. Safe travels, and tear it up on Thursday at Falling Knife Brewery with the Daymore NBA podcast, 6:00 this Thursday for a happy hour with some hoops. All right, man. See you later.
Appreciate you.
Yeah, anytime. Bye-bye. Dane Moore at Dane Moore NBA via X. To football with the Scribe. Ben Gessling joins us in studio next.